I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is the Doctor's Guide podcast, raw and unfiltered. And have you ever wondered, why some things aren't working out for your health? I mean, you're taking these supplements, you're doing these lifestyle changes, and then the other part is, with so much information out there, I mean, what do you choose? And maybe you spend a whole ton of money. I mean, I know that I have, but I have another purpose because I want to try things out so I can curate them and then educate you and then guide you as well. But what about the process? Ultimately, all of us are responsible for our own health. I mean, quite frankly, and this might upset some people, and I hope it does, because what I like to say is that we no longer have an excuse to be sick. So what does that really mean? Well, with all the amazing people out there and with all the amazing advances in science and technology, and then of course, the internet, I mean, we've got access to all that information. We've got access to all those resources, but the challenge is, what do you do, right? Which ones do you trust? And so rather than talking about a specific product, like many of these podcasts do, rather than talking about a specific person and how amazing they are, we are sharing with you the process by which you can navigate this very complex area of your health by role playing. And how do we actually do that? So I've got these two amazing guests. We've already done a show before, which is absolutely wonderful. And if you haven't watched it, go watch that for you because you'll get some amazing insights. And that's my outcome. My outcome, or our outcome, is that you leave with some insights and some specific action steps that you can start on that journey to optimize a particular area of your life. Obviously, not all of it, but at least a significant one for you. So through the role playing, we're going to do about 6 minutes of that. Daniel and Gabriel will do the role playing. One will present with a problem and the other will be the guide. And then kind of have you be able to relate and see yourself potentially in some of those challenges that they have. And they may have these personally, or they may relate to somebody else that's had these. And so coming to a place where there's some resolution, that's what we hope to achieve through all the role playing, so that you can see that it's possible. Oftentimes we think, what, I'm never going to get better. Well, that's a thought you just want to eliminate, because that's not true either. And so I want to welcome both Gabriel and Daniel to the role playing. I'll have them introduce themselves. And then after the 6-minute role play, what we're going to do is we're going to unpack kind of that. We're going to have a conversation between the three of us and help you with some of those insights. So let me start off with Daniel. Please introduce yourself, and then we'll go with Gabriel, and then we'll go right into the role play.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, everybody. My name is Daniel Martin, and I'm a cybersecurity professional turned epilepsy health coach. What that means is I share what I've learned in the past 7 years, distill it down, and help other people with seizures and epilepsy become seizure-free naturally without having to rely on surgery, medications, and implants. And I do that in the most nurturing, effective way using diet, lifestyle, oxygen, and a couple other very basic things. And that's me and what I do.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. Gabriel?
Hello, my name is Gabriel. I'm a massage therapist and a musician, and I'm also a father, and I'm interested in some things regarding my daughter and epilepsy. So that's what I'm bringing here today.
Great. Awesome. And Gabriel is very humble. He's also a spiritual leader. He's done a lot of travels throughout the world to understand more about getting grounded, connecting with the earth, and as it translates or transmute into the structure of our bodies. Great. So we'll do the role play. So you're the one with the problem today, Gabriel. So go for it, and we'll go for about 6 minutes.
Okay. So I am particularly interested in your work, Daniel, because my daughter began having small seizures 6 months ago, and it was induced by light, and they started small, but they've started to get bigger. So we have researched a lot. We've been to many medical professionals, and it appears that the Western medical approach is that she will go on a prescription that will stop the seizures. However, she will have to be on these prescriptions for the rest of her life. And in researching, we are finding that many people are having side effects to this prescription. And so we're looking for alternative options, and I'm very interested and curious about your approach. So what might you suggest for my daughter?
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with me. And it's really powerful that you've immediately started questioning the mainstream advice instead of taking it wholeheartedly, because I will say that you are saving a lot of big things for your daughter in this situation. And one of them is the medication. A lot of people, they take the medication for seizures, and only 40-50% of people get 100% seizure control for the long term, and I'm talking decades or to the end of life. And if somebody does reach an older age on this epilepsy medication, imagine how many decades your daughter will be taking that from, her early years or her teens into the 60s and 70s, where we're talking 5, 6, 7 decades, where the side effects that most people have continue to build up silently until some other problem happens. And this is shown very clearly in the life expectancy of people with epilepsy on epilepsy medications can expect 10 to 15 years reduced life expectancy. And for a male, that puts your life expectancy into the 60s. So that's not for me, an ideal situation to permanently solve the problem. It can be a fantastic temporary Band-Aid, but the fact that your daughter's seizures are getting progressively worse means that the underlying problem is kind of progressing and hasn't been addressed or resolved. And there's a lot of things that cause epilepsy we don't understand. Hardly even 10% of all of the causes or all of the solutions. We don't know how the anti-epileptic drugs work, and we also don't know how the most popular dietary therapies like the ketogenic diet, not even sure how that works. So a lot of this takes a lot of deep understanding, reflection on what major lifestyle changes have happened. Has there been a traumatic birth? Has there been moving into different homes, which can sometimes have hidden allergies, mustiness, mold, or different things, exposures, treating the carpets a certain way? There's many sneaky things that can sneak up on us. A lot of clients drink well water, for example. And if you don't know what's in your well water, a lot of people assume that well water is perfectly healthy in every scenario, but it's more and more so in this day and age not the case. There's a lot of hidden arsenic. There's a lot of hidden heavy metals. So it's great that you've started looking at this, and I know you're gathering information. And are you kind of curious about how powerful diet can be, or oxygen, or do you believe this stuff could help your daughter?
I think it's entirely possible, and that's why I'm looking. Yeah, I believe that our bodies are incredibly capable of healing themselves when we really start to look more deeply and understand some of the root causes. And yeah, there was a traumatic birth happening, and as well as quite a few moves. And so that's interesting information to me. I didn't realize that that mold might be a potential contributor, or that a traumatic birth might affect the likelihood of epilepsy. So yeah, these are the kind of things that I'm interested in, because I tend to look outside of the box. I believe that there's a time and a place for the incredible intelligence of Western medicine, and I deeply respect it. My dad was a doctor. And also, when there are side effects like this that do shorten your lifespan, which I also didn't know, I'm looking for other options, potentially more holistic. I'm not looking for a Band-Aid. I'm looking for a deeper examination of what's going on here.
Excellent. Well, here's the good news. The ketogenic diet alone, a diet made 100 years ago specifically for kids with epilepsy, is more effective than any anti-epileptic drug on the market. So more than 50% success rate in getting most and sometimes 100% of seizures eliminated. And the even better news is that I found that there's a lot of factors that are really important. Epilepsy is almost always multifactorial. So when we have a well-balanced approach, not just focused on extreme elimination diets or eating perfect, foods and never going out or eating Christmas dinners, for the rest of your life, it's more so adding in the three other pillars that go along in the way that I help people. And that would be oxygen, a very foundational molecule, but also mental vagus nerve stimulation, which is brain exercises. It's reconnecting neural synapses in the brain. It's relaxing that stress response in the vagus nerve, which is a lot of times they'll try to give you surgery, which does that for you by giving you electrical massage. But it's easier and more effective and more longer lasting to train those brain exercises and those relaxation responses to help reduce those seizures. And lastly, the neural detox. A lot of times we just have either coming from inside our bodies when our cells metabolize energy, or coming from outside, like car exhaust, chemicals in carpets and rugs, like all these things coming in at once. They accumulate, small particles get in the brain. We need to help facilitate that, like you say, the body's process to heal itself. So that's the good news, is you're in good hands. And you caught this early in 6 months. I've seen tremendously good success with younger people and people who take action so quickly after having seizures, because I didn't take action for 15 years. So I had 15 years of medication buildup in my system. I had 15 years of the root cause of my epilepsy not being resolved. That's why it took me about 5 years to figure out how to permanently and completely be seizure free and medication free. But you're in good hands, and I'm glad we're talking.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you. Encouraging.
Well, let's wrap it up there. That was amazing. So starting off with you, Daniel, what was that for you? What do you want the people to know about what you just shared and the importance of that?
What I'd really like for people to know is the feeling of what it's like on the other side. Epilepsy is a really big challenge. It's a really hard thing while you're going through it. Sometimes it feels like you're dying. Sometimes it feels absolutely terrible. And making any change in your diet or lifestyle sometimes is very scary or very difficult. So if there's one thing I could gift to people, it's that feeling of what it's truly like to be relaxed, what it's truly like to be in a state of health that's low in chemical burdens, it's low in brain fogginess and anxiety and all these things that we don't realize we have. And I know I can't share a feeling with people. So I would say just having that faith and that curiosity, like look on Amazon or bookstores, look at people who have overcome epilepsy or neurological diseases and get that, belief that you can absolutely induce miracles in your life. You can make changes. It's like training for the Olympics. It's like, building muscles. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to have focus. It's a lot easier having somebody with you, whether it's family or a health coach like me, but that's the biggest thing I would give for people to take away.
Awesome. Gabriel, what was that like for you? And what did you get out of this?
Well, I believe very much in the power of our beliefs, and just listening to you talk opens up a pathway for me to believe something else is possible. And that was the most powerful thing in listening to you. And I would say that, you actually did help me to feel a feeling. You were able to transmit a feeling. So when you were talking about one of the three pillars being able to relax in your mind, and I actually started to feel more relaxed. And so I did feel that very much. And your description, just that it is possible that there's another pathway that won't shorten my daughter's life is deeply encouraging, gives me hope, and it changes my mind in a way that I can also transmit to my daughter. And I think when we change our mind, we change our reality. So that's a huge thing that you're doing.
Well said, both of you. And what's fascinating, for the listeners to understand is that, one of the popular diets these days is the keto diet for lots of reasons. And actually, it is how we've evolved over millions of years. So it makes a lot of sense. It's not just a fad, and it's not just a trend. I mean, we're going back to our roots, and that's exactly what we need to do. But what I find even more fascinating is what Daniel actually just shared with us, is that the keto diet was originally designed to support children with epilepsy with tremendous results. It's like, whoa. And how cool is that? And I think you both related to something very, very important is, what is that root cause? What is the thing underlying all the problems in the first place? Because in my opinion, well, it's not my opinion, but it's somebody else's opinion that I'm borrowing, and I'll make it my own as well. And that is that, we have the perfect blueprint, and we have the blueprint of the perfect functioning body. And we also have the blueprint of a currently functioning body or dysfunctioning body. And so, we talked about this before, and it is also my belief that all diseases are reversible, as long as permanent damage or physical damage hasn't occurred. Trauma does permanently change some things, but otherwise the body restores itself, replaces all the cells. I mean, there's not a single cell, in 7 years that you have today. I mean, the body replaces everything, all of our atoms, all of our molecules. It recycles everything, contrary to what people used to believe, that, for example, nerves never change, but that's not true. And so we've got that possibility, but your mindset, like Gabriel was saying, is so important. So you both shared a wealth of information, and the confidence, that Gabriel is experiencing, and I'm getting as well from you, Daniel, as far as, whoa, we can do all this. I mean, that's amazing. Any more thoughts on that, Daniel?
Yeah, it's true. I can speak it so clearly because I've lived it, and I started going to conferences across the world in the United States and learning from people. Like it's a lot different hearing a story on an article on the internet. It's a lot different going on Amazon and looking at a supplement and seeing, reviews on magnesium and say, this like transformed my life. You're seeing such a small snapshot and you're not getting the whole picture. But when you're talking to somebody face to face, and when I start going to these conferences and start seeing these miracles over and over, whether it's their children that had, deep autism diagnosis, or whether it's themselves and they were wheelchair, bedridden, given a certain number of months to live, and now they're 15 years later and thriving and looking healthier than they did 20 years ago. It cultivates such a strong, powerful belief. And I wish people had that, that removal of barrier that you're trying to do here, where you can actually, look somebody in the face and get more reassurance that you're not just reading a testimonial that was computer generated by Chat GPT, right? Or you weren't like some company paid someone to write a bunch of positive reviews so people buy their supplements. And yeah, there's absolutely more miraculous stories than exist. If somebody's open to them, they're totally out there.
And that's why it's important for people to hear your voices, because you're speaking the truth. You're speaking from the heart. You're speaking from your own experience. And you're so right. I mean, you hear all these miraculous stories online, but listening to you, it's like, oh, I believe them, and I trust that. And then as a father, Gabriel, clearly, I mean, when our children are our world, or they're supposed to be, right? And you're an amazing parent. I know that because I know you. And for me personally, my legacy, my purpose of existence is to have kids, right? And so you think the world of them, you want them to be safe, and then when you come up with what seems impossible, that's devastating. And then to have that kind of hope, and know where your focus is on this planet, where it is holistic, where it is natural, where it is organic, because our body, does have the tools and resources to make those shifts. But the challenge is finding that. And so as a parent, then for you, what does that mean?
It means persevering when you haven't found it yet. It means continuing to look. And
Yep.
in this day and age, we're coming out of a system in which the professional knows best, always. But as I go to more and more professionals and they say more and more different things that are actually not in alignment with each other, it can be very confusing. And so I've been on a path of self-empowerment and listening to my own critical thinking and talking to more people and finding out, okay, there is potentially a different way. And that's been extremely challenging and frightening at some times and disheartening. And at the same time, it seems like what has been necessary. If something inside me is saying, no, this doesn't feel right, I don't think this is quite right, I'm learning to listen to that and say, okay, well then let's keep on looking and find somebody else. And I'm so glad that people like Daniel exist to assist, somebody who's walked that path before us to share his insights.
And I know both of you absolutely respect, the current medical system, however it shows up in any part of the world, because it's an important part of what's available for us. And like I was listening to another health expert, as far as acute medicine, I mean, we're second to none in the United States. And so there's a really important place. But full transparency too, being a doctor, being a plastic or reconstructive surgeon for the last 25 years, basically being in the field for almost 40. I mean, I went to medical school when I was 17. But when I graduated, I did recognize there was a major disconnect between what I learned in school and what conventional medicine was offering, and what a lot of people were wanting and needing as well. And so we have to recognize, and you guys have also shared it as well, is that if one way doesn't work, then let's find another way. Let's persevere. Let's find it and trust your intuition. We have to educate ourselves. We have to have that responsibility. We can't just rely with blind faith on what a conventional system is telling us, or anybody else for that matter. I mean, it goes both ways, right? I mean, you can have these holistic docs or these natural docs or these acupuncturists that they say that it's the only way, and you got to trust your intuition too, right? Is it working or not? And so my thing is that let's be open-minded. Let's all help each other. But at the end of the day, you've got to trust your own instincts and ask better questions, because ultimately, it is your responsibility to find that the right path towards optimizing your health. So I'd like to wrap it up there, guys. I think, once again, very enlightening in so many different levels. Daniel, some more magic of yourself so that people, and how can people, find you, and a last word or last comment that you want to share.
Absolutely. Everybody can find all my contact info at my website, naturalseizurecontrol.com. And the last piece of magic that I would share about myself is, like Gabriel was saying, that persistence. I feel like that is one of my biggest gifts, my biggest strengths. So I was able to go year after year after year and persisting through this. And if there's only one thing I can share with people, the only way you lose or don't recover your health is by giving up. You accept things the way they are. You accept that your thermostat, is staying at 30%. You're only going to be 30% of your potential. And, quitting is usually right before having a breakthrough or getting that momentum. And sometimes the challenge of life is just, okay, so I'm lacking the energy or the confidence, but I just take this ridiculous, embarrassing step. If I'm in a wheelchair, I take one wheel. If I'm in a walker, I take one, half an inch, even though people are next to you sprinting. All you need is a half inch at a time. If you never quit, you will get there, guaranteed. So that's what I help, coach my epilepsy patients through, is that, we're taking this one step at a time. You have somebody who's gone through the process, which is so invaluable, and it speeds up this process so much, but it does require taking one step in front of another, going in a direction that's different than you've been before. And that's what I'd like to share with everybody.
I love it. And thank you for those great insights. And thank you for championing this, not coming from the health field, but it's the pain to purpose kind of story, right? And thank you for your amazing contributions. Gabriel, some more magic about you, where people can find you, and last words.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Daniel, for what you're doing. And Bart also, what a pleasure to be on here. Again, I'm a massage therapist. That's what I do in the world out there. And I can be found at the Cafe of Life Chiropractic. Just look it up. I'm in Bend, Oregon. I agree. One step at a time, just whatever step you're able to take right in that moment towards aliveness. What makes you feel alive? What makes you feel happy? Sometimes that might actually be a nap. Sometimes that might be climbing a mountain. But whatever that is that gives that little spark inside of you, even if it's scary, those are the things that I keep on leaning into more. And I find every time I open a door that seems a little bit scary and I look through and I find myself on the other side of it, I feel more open, more connected to myself, and more connected to the people around me. And those kinds of connections are what I feel like I'm here for. So that's what I would suggest.
Awesome. Well, thank you for reminding us that all of this is a journey of exploration, and you get there when you get there, and then there's some more after that, by the way. And so again, that's your job. Listeners, it's your responsibility. There's a lot of different things that affect our lives today. You've got the choices. They may not be easy, and you might get triggered by some of the things that we share here today, but there's truly answers out there, as both these gentlemen have shared with you. And quite frankly, everyone on this podcast series has gone through their own pain to purpose journey, and are sharing invaluable insights that I hope you can relate to, see yourself, and see that there is hope and clarity at the end. So hope to know that it's going to work out, but clarity as to what that path needs to be. So Gabriel and Daniel, thank you so much once again. I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker. This is the Doctor's Guide podcast, raw and unfiltered, and we will be back for more insightful and ways to take action towards your health optimization journey. Thank you, and we will be back.